Yeah. Okay. Hello, my name is Richard Lee. I am a retired immigration officer. I work with the Department of Homeland Security. Um, for 20 years, I was embedded with what they call the Document Benefit Fraud Task Force as part of Homeland Security investigations, where I did mainly investigations into marriage fraud, some employment fraud. I started these videos to help people uh, to help educate people. I'm grateful for the people who come on here and share their stories. So I would ask that you refrain from any judgment. I always say this, you're as susceptible to fraud as anyone else, that any of you listeners are. We all are, can be caught up in it. We're not gods. We're just human beings. And it's easier to be standing on the outside looking in and be able to go, aha, 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 when you see everything that they talk about, but you don't understand a lot of this stuff happens over a time frame. It isn't like one day all of this stuff happens. And when you're in love with someone, you have a tendency to be very forgiving. Um, Today I have with me Monica. She's going to share her story. Again, we do these for educational purposes and hopefully to create enough evidence and information that might get us to a lawsuit against DHS for not protecting U.S. citizens. So, Monica, welcome.
Thank you so much, Richard.
I have one question for you, one statement that I like to make. I do place all of these on YouTube for educational purposes, as I said, so public will see it. Um, Are you okay with that? Is that acceptable to you that I do use this for educational and hopefully for
Yes, that's
legal
fine.
purposes at some point? Thank you. Good. All right. So why don't we just start out? Where was your ex from?
From Owerri, Imo State, Nigeria.
Nigerian. Okay. And how did you come about meeting him?
I met him through a former friend.
Mhm. Mhm. And where did you meet? I mean, how did your friend introduce him to that? I mean, how did you meet up with your friend? Did she ask you to come and visit her? I know you told me that you got in contact with her because she was going to Nigeria and you wanted to kind of pick her brain about the culture and the people, right?
Right. So I did happen to go to her home to get some more information on that. And by the time that I made it there, she was already speaking to the scammer guy that I married through the time.
Mhm.
Um, and from there, I just began talking to him on a daily.
Okay, yeah. And you did tell me just so people understand, and I'm taking this out of the loop. So I didn't want to get too much involved in your prior relationship, but just so you know, you told me that you had a prior relationship with a Nigerian, but you found him with other women in his phone and stuff like that. And so you broke that off, and that was the reason you went to talk to your friend, just
That's right.
just brief about that. So what did your friend tell you about when you went there, I would ask this, did she invite you over to her house or did you ask to come over?
No, I did ask her. I told her that I was gonna come over, that I needed some things to tell her,
Okay.
and I went on ahead and told her about my former relationship
Okay.
with the guy. And so once I had already arrived, she was already talking to the scammer guy,
Oh, so she
which
already had the guy on the phone.
I didn't even know that she was even on the phone by the time I made it there. But she happened to be on the phone with a guy, and I just overheard, the conversation,
Yeah.
and he was just, how I began talking to him, he was asking, "Who is that?" And so that's whenever she turned the phone towards me,
Mhm.
and we began speaking.
Okay. And now, how did she know him? Did she tell you how she knew him?
Facebook.
Facebook. So you made it for Facebook. So, okay. So anyway, so she introduced you to him, and then how long did you and he start talking together before you decided, because you went to Nigeria to meet him. So what kind of a time frame was it from the time you met him to the time you took a trip to visit him?
1 year exactly.
1 year. So you talked on the phone for a year or texted or whatever it is you did that for
That's right. We talked through WhatsApp. Um, We talked through Facebook,
Okay.
and that's it. Just those two.
Okay, I gotcha. And so what year did you meet him through your friend? Do you remember the year and the month?
I believe it was 2020.
2020. Okay. And so then in 2021, you went to visit him.
Exactly.
Okay. And then when you got there, did he meet you at the airport?
Yes.
Okay. And so you guys, now you said that when did he start talking to you about being in love with you and wanting to marry you from the time you met? What kind of a time frame was that? Was that like a year or 6 months or a month or when he,
Oh, he didn't start talking to me about loving me until like maybe a few months later, but he
much later?
did get my name tatted on him after 2 weeks.
Oh, did he? Okay, that's a good, yeah. Interesting. After 2 weeks, he gets his name tatted on you. He barely knows you, but he gets his name tatted on you. That would be a. Does he still
On
have
him,
a tattoo?
yeah, he got my name tatted on his arm within
Okay,
2 weeks.
that's interesting. So certainly rushing it a little bit, I would say. Um, so 3 months later, he starts talking to you about he's in love with you. And when did he start? 3 months. When did he start broaching the idea of immigration?
He didn't start talking about marriage
Mhm.
until maybe until like after 6 months. I believe it was about 6 months because that's whenever he had proposed to me.
Okay. So he had proposed to you after 6 months. So, but you never seen each other. Um, was he like, I mean, I use the term, was he like really affectionate and really telling you, all the stuff that anyone wants to hear is, oh, I think you're wonderful. I think was there a lot of that going on during that time?
Yeah, he was very sweet. Like he was very let me just say one of a kind
Mhm.
because I mean in the United States I never just had somebody just speak to me and in such manner that as he did, he
Yeah.
called every day, checked up on me, made sure I was good, my kids were good, my family's good.
Okay.
He seemed very caring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something that, most Americans doesn't uh really do that. My experience,
Yeah.
they don't really do as they don't really like um be as affectionate
Yeah.
as a Nigerian
Yeah.
guy would. So this is
Yeah.
what drew my attention and why I kind of like fell for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I call that love bombing. They really love bomb you up front. There's a lot of caring and a lot of interest in you uh, initially, and then at some
Right.
point that dies fairly quickly usually. So 6 months in, he proposes to you, and then a year within at the end of that year, you went to visit him, right?
Right. And
And
I also would like to throw in there,
sure. Mhm.
I've noticed that he did a lot of asking me questions, but he was very secretive with his information.
Oh yeah, very yeah. That's another thing too. Yeah, the guys who do that, that's a very good point, is they do try to get as much information out of you as possible
Right.
because then they can use that either against you or as another way to either stroke your ego or to show that they're empathetic to you.
Right. I
Yeah.
did notice that because
Yeah.
he knows a lot about me, but
Yeah.
he was very secretive about him. So it was very little of knew I knew about him. But
Yeah.
he would tell me if somebody was sick, when it comes to somebody being sick, or if he's hungry, or if his family's hungry, or
Yeah.
if they're out of electricity, if anything sad like that, of course he will let me know
Yeah.
because he always wanted money
Yeah.
for that.
That is very common. It's very, very common that they do that. And people need to be aware of that. And you can fall for that easily. I think we're an empathetic people overall. And we're the highest charity givers in the world. We give more charity than any other country in the world. And that's because we do have this empathetic thing about us that we just, we want to help people, and especially people we care about. We do.
Right.
we may not be the most affectionate people, but I think we're much more to jump in and help our friends or help people that are in need. And and we do that a lot. I mean, you see that the
Right,
statistic bears that out for us. So he did that, and so yeah, so it's very common. Ask you for a lot of money. Hey, all of a sudden I'm sick. Oh, I need $50. I need $500. The
right,
rent's not being paid. Oh, they're going to cut off our electricity.
right.
The dog got his legs cut off, and we got to get him a wheelchair and whatever else with it.
Honestly, the money didn't basically him asking me for money. Well, he wasn't really just asking me for money. I take that back. He doesn't ask me for money.
Oh no.
He tells me sob stories.
Yes.
So therefore, after we got married, there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I gotta contribute. We had a death in the family. I'm hungry. We haven't ate. Just stuff like that.
Yeah. I got
My
you.
mother's sick.
But he
I
never did
need
that before you.
medication.
He never did that before you got married, right? He's going to take care of you, right? I mean, I would assume that before you guys got married, he was going to take care of you and make sure that your needs were met and all that. I would assume that's what he's telling you, right?
Before we got married,
Yeah.
there was always, I wish I could help you wash clothes, or I
Oh,
wish I could do this, I wish I could do that for you. But I never ever received the gifts or anything from him.
yeah. No, it's it. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's just, it's kind of typical, but it just goes. So you went there and met him. You met his family, right?
Right.
How long did you stay there?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And so did you stay? You stayed in, I think you told me you stayed in the hotel while you were there, right?
Yes. So once I had already arrived to the airport, he did take me to a nice hotel. I did pay for everything. He did not pay for anything at all.
Yeah.
My travel, let me just say my flight to
Mhm.
Nigeria, I paid for it. Everything was paid for me.
Yeah.
He didn't pay anything. Um, and as of for there was this one time I also would like to add that I have found uh, a hotel once I had made it
Mhm.
to Nigeria.
Mhm.
Mind you, whenever you're Googling outside of the United States,
Yeah.
basically your phone no longer has like protection against what you're Googling. I
Mm.
assume that's what happened. Um, so I did book a hotel at a certain place, and I did get scammed once again through a
Oh
whole
my
nother scammer
Jesus.
because basically it wasn't a legit page.
Mm.
It was so crazy. I put my credit card information, everything online. Once I made it to Nigeria, and they took the money. Once I made it to the hotel, the receptionist at the hotel told me they never did receive my payment, and I had the screenshot. I was like, I just made a payment right now. She's like, ma'am, that's not our website.
Ah,
Is that like it was like a whole nother website? It was like cloned. Let me just say that.
yeah, they do a lot of that. Yeah, that's a very common thing.
Yes, I did have to add that.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you did because that's very important. Yeah, there's a lot of cloning they do out there. And I always like to tell people Nigerians are some smart people. They are
Very.
really very smart. They have high IQs. Generally, if they're well educated, and a lot of them are, uh, in their education system, if you could get into their education system, it's better than ours. Not everybody can go to school. So, um, but so did you ever meet? I mean, did you ever go to his hometown or his parents' house or any of that stuff?
I did go to his home, to his house, yes.
Yeah.
Um, I met his sisters, his brothers, so he said that they were. Um, also, after the wedding,
Hmm.
they did come over to the hotel we were staying at, and
Yeah.
they came to celebrate with us, but I swear the sisters did not like me like I don't know. I just had
Ooh.
that feeling. I got that vibe
Yeah.
that they just kept looking at me. Every time I said something or asked them a question, they just kind of look at me like, and it bothered me. So I did have to speak up on that. Like, why is she looking at me stupid? You know, like,
Was it one
why is
particular
she looking at me like this?
was it one particular sister?
Yes.
Yeah, so okay. And just so people are aware, it's not uncommon for US citizens to go to Nigeria and to go through one of these family events, and the Nigerian's real wife is there. And
Right.
that is very common. I would be very suspicious of anyone like that, especially if they're giving me this bad vibe, because
Right.
they do that. And also they get a lot of fake divorce decrees. They'll either say they've never been married, or they'll give you a fraudulent divorce decree that was really issued by the government, but it's still a fake divorce decree. Because you could pay just a few little uh, penance and get someone in the government to give you a divorce decree, a birth certificate, a divorce that's never actually submitted to the government. It's just on the form with the stamp. Very common. You see that
Oh
all.
wow.
So yeah. Um, Fifth, I did a lot of Nigerian cases. 50% of my Nigerian cases submitted fraudulent divorce decrees that were on real government paper with a real government seal, but they never were submitted to the government. It was just a piece of paper to bring here with them.
Wow.
They meet a guy outside of either the U.S. embassy or the consulate, and that works for the government, and he takes bribes or she takes bribes, and they have a lot of that going on. Very common.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So whenever he went on ahead, I honestly I don't know how he ended up I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm skipping forward, but I don't know how he ended up getting a visa
Yeah.
without the officers even contacting me. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know anything, like what was going on. I was in the dark about everything. All I did was receive emails.
Yeah,
I
well,
re-
yeah, I think that's a very important point. So you went there and you married him. You married him while you were there, right? The first 2 weeks?
right. I married him the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then you came home, and did he start immediately talking to you about doing the immigration paperwork?
So he started talking to me about it, I believe maybe like a month later, like a month later, I believe, maybe like a month after I came back because he said that he needed to be with his wife.
Yeah, yeah,
So
of
yeah.
course. Now, did I thought you said that he got an attorney. He got an immigration attorney, right? Or did you get an immigration attorney?
No, 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 no. Neither.
Okay, usually, so you filled out the I-130 visa petition for him, right? That's
Yes.
good to come here. So you filled that out, just so people understand the way it goes. How soon after you got married did you fill that out?
A year later.
Oh, you waited a year to do it.
Yes.
Why did you wait so long, if you don't mind me asking?
I waited a year because I didn't really have the funds at the time. All my funds was basically going to him.
No, that's okay. Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah. So you've been feeding him and taking care of him this whole year, and and,
Right.
without him asking, he's just giving you the sob story. My dog got both his legs crushed, and he had to have a dog.
Right. I never
Whatever.
had money. Like all my money was just going to
Oh
him.
yeah.
He was always telling me that he needed this, he needed that.
Oh yeah.
And I was just big hearted like that. I gave him everything he asked for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's very, very common. This guy's your husband, right? I mean, you're thinking this is, he's my husband. Of course, you help each other.
Exactly.
My wife, well, my wife doesn't just take my money, but we have a joint checking account. She takes money out of there all the time because it's our account. She's got her own little account, but we pay the bills together, and that's what we help each other out. If she needs something, when I get extra money for something, I usually just hand it to her and say, "Oh, whatever, do something with this, take care of it."
Right.
That's kind of what you expect, and you're married. That's what you think. I want people to understand that. So he's asking for money. So a year later, you finally filed the I-130 visa petition.
Right.
You had to file an affidavit of support, an I-134, I think, for that one. Yeah. And then Uh, and he had to do a medical exam. So after you filed the I-130, when did you find out that it was approved?
A year later.
So it took another year. So you guys have been married for two
Right.
years. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that's it. So waiting on that. So and by the way, he's very happy with that. He's happy it took 2 years. Um, all the immigrants know that if they come in before they've been married for 2 years, their residency will be a conditional residency. And so they'll even try, oftentimes they'll try to delay it as long as they can. But you told me that you started having issues and suspicions, didn't you? Before he came here. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yes. What was the suspicion? What did you start finding out? What was the problem?
Well, so after I had filed his petition, it was just multiple things going on. So basically, one thing, I don't want to over exaggerate, but I did see that on his phone. There was once upon a time that he was telling me that he may not I may not hear from him all throughout the day because he needed to charge his phone, and most times the electricity is out in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So he said, "Don't wait up for me if you don't hear from me because I am waiting on electricity to charge my phone."
Did you
So
find
he
that to
sent me
be
a screen.
when you were there for your 2 weeks? Did you find that the electricity was that spotty? Was it that spotty when you were there?
Every now and then it'll flicker around.
Flicker,
It
but
would.
it would flicker, but was it out like for 12 hours?
No,
But
it wouldn't.
yeah, it just flickers. So it's a huge
Right.
difference. There's a huge difference between flickering and being out for hours and hours and hours. But
Right.
and I know
Exactly.
they have this part. So it would flicker. You had a little issue with electricity, and then
Right.
and you said you caught him with some girls, right? Yeah, well, you could never get in touch with him, but you said there were some pictures or something, right?
Right. So he sent me a screenshot of his battery on his phone, and I noticed that as his wallpaper it was him and his guy friend.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is strange. Like, why would you have your guy friend as on your wallpaper? I just, I honestly feel like you would have the person that you care for on your wallpaper.
Yeah,
Or if not just that, it'll be like an animal or just something
a
random, but
tree or
not like
something.
another guy. To me, it was just weird.
Yeah, were they standing close together or were they?
No, there wasn't close.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, yeah, because it was like a selfie. So maybe yes. It was kind of like close.
Okay. So, and what else? What are the other suspicions did you have? He could never talk to you. You got that screenshot. That's pretty good. Was there anything else that like kind of drew your antenna up, made you say,
Yeah, so I also did a little bit more digging on his Facebook, and I noticed that he went on Alan Warnick's Facebook official page,
"Hmm,
and he started liking a lot of his pictures. And Warnick,
hmm,
he is a gay porn star. So there was like naked pictures of Alan that he was liking. There was even a picture of Alum getting his back scrubbed by another man naked in a tub.
interesting." Yeah, yeah.
Right. And
That's a
also
big
he
red
did
flag, right? I mean, that's a like, hey, wait, what's going on here?
right. And he also posted, I hope I'm welcome here with a heart, which found it kind of weird because I'm like, I was thinking, are you gay? I did contact him and was asking him a lot of questions. And all he responded to me was the fact that he's not gay. He only liked how his muscles look, and he said that he kept looking at him because Alum inspired him into looking like that one day. That
Hmm,
was his excuse.
yeah. Not that there's like hundreds of other muscle men in magazines you could look at, but yeah, I know, yeah, that's okay. I could tell you funny stories about that. That's common too. Um,
Right. And he also told me that there's no such thing as gay men in Nigeria because if they find out that a Nigerian man is gay, that they will die. Like they will get killed by people because that is like that's That's not okay. Like that's like against the law there.
That doesn't mean that there aren't any gay people. They just have to be undercover more than they have to be somewhere else. They're still gay.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so yeah, that's an interesting one. Now you went back to visit him again, didn't you?
Yes. So the second time I did go back to visit him,
Yeah.
and so after like we had like a lot of slack from each other, I just kept finding out things
Yeah. Like what
and
kind of
next thing
things?
you know, I'm sorry.
What kind of things did you find out?
Just his woman. I mean, I'm sorry, not his woman. Well, there was this random woman contacting me from Nigeria.
Yeah.
I was getting Nigerian calls. She kept letting me know that I had married the wrong person.
Mhm.
She's like, you just made a big mistake. She possibly had called me about 3 times that same week, trying to convince me. Well,
Yeah.
not really convince me. She was just discouraging me,
Yeah.
kind of just giving me a heads up about the kind of person he was. And
Yeah.
whenever I had talked to him about it, he kind of just was shut me out. He wouldn't want to talk about it. He kept trying to tell me to just block the woman, and he asked me for the woman's number.
Yeah.
That's basically how that went.
Okay.
Um,
One of the things I often find fascinating, it's not, I don't mean this to be sliding you or anything, but you, yeah, I interviewed thousands of people who have done criminal acts and especially marriage fraud. And it's very rare that you go, hey, did you actually fill out this fraudulent paperwork? And they go, yes. I never ask those questions. I would never ask a question like that because I know the answer they're going to give me is going to be no. They're going to deny it, right? And so everyone should understand this. When you go to someone, if you got someone else telling you that John's this way, then and then you go, well, this woman is saying, or this person is saying, John, you do X, Y, and Z, and they've told me several times you do this. Well, John's not going to jump up and go, yeah. Yeah, I did axe murder those six people. He's probably not going to do that as a rule. So people
right. They're not
understand
going
that.
to admit it, of course.
Yeah, they're never going to admit it. And the problem is you're married to this guy, and so you have this, and everyone would do this. Everyone, wait a minute, is she jealous that he's married to me? You know, was there something going on with him before, and now she's just mad that he married me? So there's you're wondering if what she's saying is credible. And I would wonder if some guy came up to me about my wife and said that stuff. There's to me, I would question their credibility. You know,
Regardless, which was
because-
weird, was
yeah,
how did you get my number?
yeah. How did she get your number? That's an interesting one. That's very, yeah. So she knows him, right? She knows him in
Right.
form or fashion. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So. That's good. So you confronted him. He said no. And then what else did you have happen?
Uh, After that, basically, I flew out to go see him once more.
Mhm.
I've only been to Nigeria twice ever.
Mhm.
And the second time, around the time that we were having sex,
Mhm.
I did see like a cut on his penis,
Mhm.
and I did question him about that. And he said that he happened to accidentally cut himself with his nail.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, but I mean,
Mhm.
me, I never just seen anything on like genital sores or anything on a
Yeah.
person ever.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know like what I was really looking at.
Yeah.
I had to ask him.
Yeah.
So he didn't think nothing of it. It was more like he just wanted to get it on. We did things,
Yeah.
and to on my way back to the United States, I was having discomfort urinating,
Yeah.
and I did make an appointment with my OB ASAP.
Yeah.
And I was told that he had given me HPV and HSV,
Oh my God. So
and that was my second time around. Not my first time. That was my second time.
yeah. Ugh. So and did you confront him with that when you got back? What did he say? Did he Did he again? Did he say, "Oh yeah, that's me. I did it"?
Definitely not. Did not.
Yeah.
He was denying it 100%,
Yeah.
and he was saying that the doctors here were stupid,
Oh
and
yeah.
that that's only the devil,
Yeah.
and that we're gonna be together forever, and that's impossible. He just wanted to kind of pray over it,
Oh yeah.
and I mean that was just about it. He denied it 100%.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you should know when the doctor. I mean, wait a minute. We have some of the best doctors in the world. I don't think they're stupid, and they're not from the devil.
Right.
You
And
know.
he tried to turn it around on me too as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
It had to been something about you. It wasn't
Mhm.
me. It was you, but he never wanted to even
Oh yeah.
get himself checked up either,
No, he
you
didn't want.
know,
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So he didn't want to go get checked, and he didn't do it.
at all.
Oh, my
And through time, um, there was a time that he stayed at his best friend's house.
God.
He also was sleeping with his best friend's girlfriend, and she happened to get it as well.
Mm.
The same thing,
Yeah.
which I was told from his best friend.
Yeah. Okay. This guy's a piece of work, isn't he? Um,
Yes.
so when you went there, I ask some questions. I'm going to go back just a bit. When you went there the two times after the wedding, when you went back, did you meet his family again? Did you go to his house and stay, or were you staying in a hotel again?
No, we stayed in a hotel.
Did you go back and see his family again while you were there the second time?
N- No, I didn't.
And so did you go three times to get all together, or did you just go two times?
No, I only went 2 times.
Okay, so
Wait, 2 times to Nigeria?
yeah,
Yes, only 2 times. That's it.
that's it. And so he didn't see his family. You there was not like this big celebration. Oh, his wife's coming back. Let's get together because that's a real, they're very family oriented in a sense, and that's a big deal. So that's interesting that none of that happened too.
Honestly, I must add,
Yeah,
I felt uncomfortable being around his family because every time they see me, I swear they see a dollar signs.
yeah,
I'm always being asked for medication.
yeah,
I'm always being asked for something.
yeah.
They're talking a whole nother language that I don't understand, and I would have to tell the scammer what are they saying,
Yeah.
like, hey, what are they talking about? And he will tell me, oh, well, my mother needs this,
Yeah.
and my father also needs money for transportation. My brother needs this, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm always spending
Right.
more than what I have to spend when
That's
I'm in
right.
Nigeria.
Yeah, just as a note now for people is you can record those conversations and you can download those and have them translated for you so you know what people are talking about today. I mean, the computer system is amazing. Now you didn't know that back then, and but it's
No, I knew that, but it was just pidgin English what they would speak, and
oh
I
yeah,
don't think that they have that specific language. Because I know they have Ibu, and stuff
yeah,
like that, but
yeah,
the pidgin English is it's kind of like simple, but it's hard
yeah,
to understand.
yeah.
So I was always left in the dark, of course.
Oh yeah,
But when it came to money, they always never had, there was never hesitant to ask me any kind of questions when it came to that.
yeah. So they didn't really get to know you. Just can we get money, and that's kind of interesting. Okay.
Exactly.
So at some point you said you sent a letter to withdraw the visa petition, right?
Yes. So I have been separated from the scammer for over a year
Yeah.
after finding out that he was doing gay things. Uh, Maybe he's not gay, but the things that I seen, that it was very gay,
Yeah.
and so, I started getting calls from the woman, and so I got tired of everything. I
Yeah.
got tired of sending money. I got tired of everything.
Yeah.
So, I blocked them and I left them alone, but the petition was still going.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I didn't have any money. I didn't, this is my first time ever trying
Yeah.
to um, file for any immigrant. I never done it before in my life.
Sure.
I was just kind of trying to live my life here, or I
Yes.
am.
Hmm.
And next thing you know, I ended up receiving an email. saying that an interview for NBC was coming up
Yeah.
uh, December the 2nd.
Mhm.
So then I was trying to withdraw the petition
Yep.
before that time, and
Yep.
I received it October 15th.
Yep.
So I only had within maybe like 2 weeks to withdraw. I
Yep.
contacted NBC. I
Yep.
wrote them a withdrawal letter.
Yep.
I got a response back from the NBC saying that the petition was sent to the consulate,
Yeah.
that they don't have the petition. So by the time I received it, of course, it was already too late. I contacted um, I contacted the consulate
Yeah.
December the 5th,
Yep.
I believe, and I tried to withdraw with them as well.
Yep.
And then they told me that it was already too late, that he had already been approved
Yeah.
his interview, his visa, ever since December the 3rd.
Yeah, all that's a lie, and those people should be fired. I mean, see, this is the USCIS and DHS not helping U.S. citizens. That infuriates me. You can, makes my blood boil because the moment you contacted them and said that you want to withdraw that I-130, that thing where they told you that, oh, it's already at the consulate center, we can't do it, is absolute bullshit. Excuse my language.
Right.
They had a duty and an obligation to contact the consulate themselves and the visa center. They should have been emailing them with your information and letting them know that you withdraw. That is the most useless government employee that I can imagine. If I knew them, I would chew them out left and right. It's disgusting what they did.
Yeah,
That person should
I
not.
swear I tried to withdraw before time.
Oh,
And I did, but they said that I contacted the wrong people
that
and they still gave this guy a visa,
is a lie. That is a lie.
and now this guy is in the United States.
Yeah. Oh, that is just absolutely infuriating. That's not incompetence. That is blatant disregard for the law and the rules. That person should not be working for that agency at all.
Right.
That is just, they absolutely lied to you. And if you have it in writing, you make sure you keep that because that
Right.
will give you
I
ground.
have it.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to all the documents you did, you need to contact OIG. I'll get you information on how to contact them and say you need to look into this. Uh,
Okay.
and you know that I hope they you need to, yeah, we're gonna see what we can do about that. So anyway, so this loving man who loved you and was going to take care of you and had to come here and be with you, he gets his visa to come to the United States. And
Right.
do you know where he flew into the United States at?
Okay. So around the time that he did receive his visa,
Yeah.
he did get his father to
Yeah.
call me.
Yes.
And his father did try to sugarcoat and tell me, please, welcome my son to the United States, blah, blah, blah. And I told him, no, I want a divorce. I want nothing to do with your son. He said I must ask his permission first, and he don't approve of that, which why I laughed. I was like, what do you mean you don't approve of that? But,
You got to ask his.
but
Oh, is he saying you got to ask the father's permission to divorce him?
right, I have
Yeah,
to ask the
whatever.
father. He
Yeah.
said, I don't approve of that. You never asked me if it was okay, so no.
I'm sorry. Oh, my God. That's crazy. Oh yeah. Could I please have permission to divorce your son who's being really crappy to me? Uh, oh no. No, you must continue to take his abuse.
I had to laugh myself. I literally laughed at him.
That's
But
ridiculous.
anyway,
Uh,
I hung up on him. I hung
okay.
up on him, right? I didn't I blocked them all. I blocked them, everybody.
Yeah.
Um I did receive a call, a random call from my former friend, how I met my scammer.
Yeah.
It was random because I haven't talked to her in many, many months.
Mhm.
And all she wanted to do was talk about my scammer constantly, all the time. I swear, all she wants to do is talk about him all the time. She wants to know what's going on with him. She just wants to be nosy. She wants to keep updates.
Now
And
that's your friend that introduced you to him. you know.
That's right.
And so,
Yes.
so she's calling you during this time. How's everything going? Blah, blah, blah. Uh,
Right.
yeah,
And so I got angry. I used foul words on her.
yeah,
She got upset after I did that.
yeah,
And she said, well, either with you or without you, he'll still be able to get his green card
yeah.
because you put him under emotional distress.
Yeah.
That was her exact words.
Yeah. So she knew what she has been in this for a while, just so you know. She's part of an immigration scam ring. For her to know that kind of stuff, she's in it. And
Right,
she's what we call uh she's a recruiter. She's not an arranger. The arrangers are above her and they're arranging all this stuff and getting it together, and they get the recruiters like her to go out and find people. And I bet she's done this a lot. And so she's probably doing this and making some good money doing it. So we want
right,
to put her name out there. If they don't already know about her, we're certainly going to contact the people that I know and let them know who she is and see if they can
right.
find a link to her, because now's the time to get them. So you
Mhm.
kept talking to, you told me that you thought he was living somewhere else, right? Like in New Jersey or something. Was that, am I?
Yes, because she called me that same phone call
Yeah.
and she told me that he was residing in Massachusetts.
Oh, Massachusetts, yeah. So he flew into the country for his loving wife and marriage, but he never showed up at your house.
Exactly. He didn't show up to me.
He didn't show
He
up to you,
showed up to
somebody else.
another state,
Yeah, it's
right?
completely different state. So that's a good reason to get him removed and get that changed, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Uh, so
But
yeah,
I want to add,
yeah,
it turns out
yeah.
that he was not really in Massachusetts.
Okay.
He was at her house the whole time.
Ah, in Texas, right?
Right, Texas.
So
Actually, not far from my actual home.
yeah. Well, you told me an interesting story. You said that you saw them when she lives near your child's school, right?
Cool, exactly.
And you
Yes,
you were driving to pick up your child, and you saw them together
on her porch.
on her porch. And was that the time did they did follow you to the school that time?
No, it wasn't. That was the first time I seen him, but it wasn't that time. It was another time.
Okay, so you saw him the first time there, and then you said another time they came up to the school where your daughter was together, right?
Exactly. That was March 17th,
Yeah,
2025,
yeah, interesting.
where they happened to I seen the whole thing that they both went outside.
Mhm.
She had handed him the keys. He got in the driver's seat,
Mhm.
and then she got in the passenger seat, and they both drove up right next to my car.
Interesting. Now, what did they say to you?
Yes.
Were they confrontational with you, or were they?
Oh no, I put my window down, and the first thing I did was take a picture.
Yeah,
And then so she said, "Did you just take a picture of me?" And I said, "I sure the hell did." And then that's whenever she was just like, "Okay." And so I was just like, "What the hell are y'all doing here?" I honestly I was being mean. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't
yeah,
even want them around me.
yeah,
I was like, at this point, this is harassment, and like y'all just need to leave me the hell alone.
yeah.
So they got to the point where the scammer,
Mhm.
sorry, the scammer, he was just telling me to calm down. I didn't want to calm down. I was like, no, like you're not even supposed to be here. This is
Yeah,
fraud.
yeah.
Like you weren't even supposed to go to that interview. I don't even know how you got a visa, you
You know
know?
what I want
And
people to understand about that is, and I don't, again, I don't like putting people on the spot, but it's not just about you. I know what they did is they set you up for this stuff. Not just you,
right,
but any of them. They start arguments, they start that like, things, and then they videotape it, and then they'll come back down. I mean, they do something to instigate the argument in the fight, and then as soon as the fight starts really good, then they're recording the whole time, by the way. But they then they come in and go, oh, you just need to calm down. Everything's going to work out, blah, 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 blah. And then when it's
Right.
video, they only show that section. They don't, it's like a lot of the things you see on YouTube where they're trying to be sensational. They don't show you the whole video.
Right.
They show you this little snippet of it.
Right. They
That's
only
what
show the bad part, but
they
they
only
don't
show the
show
very
how
bad part.
what caused it.
Yeah, they don't show how they were being bad in the first place. No, that's and
Right.
unfortunately, no one ever asked, can I see the whole video? Because
Right.
they cup it and edit it in certain ways to do that. So they set people up that way. That's why they came there. They came there to instigate something with you. They came to get you involved in something, and they got it. Because
Right.
but he didn't need it because he was already an IR6, so he couldn't file for VAWA. Uh,
Yeah, he can't file. I believe he cannot because I went and Googled.
yeah.
So it does say on there one of the qualifications is you have to be able to live with your spouse. Once he got here, he never lived with me. He arrived to her home.
Oh no, he never. You guys never. Well, that's not really true because of the way they've used VAWA. VAWA was very misused. The fact that you stayed in a hotel with him and you went to his country, uh, I think they could use that. I think they would. I don't think it's legally correct. I don't think it's legally sound, but you have to understand how lenient VAWA is.
Oh
It's
wow.
literally, the truth of the matter, I talked to the supervisors about that, how they do it, and they said, well, if they come into your house, like literally, if they walk into your house, you have a little spat, they instigate a little spat, and then they walk back out, that's grounds for VAWA. You don't even have to live in this country to get VAWA, by the way. You just have to be abused by a U.S. citizen. That's your spouse. Doesn't matter where you live. uh,
That
that's
is
it.
so
Yeah,
crazy.
it's insane. Uh, yeah, I mean it's a golden ticket. It's one of the many golden tickets that
Wow.
that
And he swears I was emotionally abused.
yeah,
Like, are you serious right now?
that's all you yeah. Well,
You're the victim. I'm the victim. Do you know how much money I like invested in you?
yeah.
Basically you and your family, and y'all never gave me anything. But
And
it's funny because around the time that he did get his visa,
yeah.
he never even asked me not even for a dime for his medical exams,
Ah,
for his travel. Who
yeah, that,
paid for him to even get here in the first place? It wasn't me.
he was ready to go. I tell you.
Exactly. So who paid for all that?
Poof, he's
All
got
of a sudden he had money, right? But
you want me to
all
tell you?
throughout these years he didn't have money. So who's really the victim? I
Yeah.
never received any money from him.
Nope, not a penny. That's it. It's the problem is for me, and I really have a hard time with this, is that these guys, and you have to forgive my language, these guys screw over and actually torture American citizens. I mean, they do. They put you through things that would cause PTSD, the stress and the crap that they do. And yet, if you get angry just a little bit about being abused, everybody looks at you as if you're like the devil. And I'm like,
Right.
disgusting. If you're in a marriage, you get angry at each other. You may raise your voice. You may disagree to some level. I mean, that's not abusive. Abusive is if you use really bad language. Like if you call somebody a bad word and you do it all the time, you're useless and lazy and all that stuff. That's abusive. But if I just go, I don't agree with you and I think this is wrong and we should be doing blah, 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 and you get a little bit heated, um, that's not abuse. It just
Right. Like there's always a debate.
yeah, they never let you be angry at being screwed over. It's
Right.
disgusting. Uh, it's just evil to me. And they go to counselors who just, they'll go to these counselors and they go in one time. They go see a counselor one time, and that counselor will write them a note saying, yeah, she or he's got PTSD from the abuse of their. That counselor doesn't know anything. And by the way, most counselors have very little real education about psychiatry. It's just that you could get a counselor degree and, a social worker and you become a counselor. It's just despicable. I'm sorry. That's a different thing. I see
Right.
it all the time. They get this one. Janie came to visit me one time and she was crying, probably fake tears because they don't know how to recognize someone who can give you a fake cry.
Of course.
And And she was just beat up. She said that he hit her. She said that he yelled at her. She said that he was going to deport her back to her country. He said, she said, he said, but the counselors will write that up as if it's true. That
And they're the ones
every
being manipulated.
and they're being manipulated because they think because they're part of that group that think they can't be manipulated. They have huge, enormous prejudices, and they let those block their worldview and of them to see the truth. They just can't. I'm sorry, I've dealt with a lot of them. You see that a lot in the service. It's just how the heck did you get to this point? Um,
Right.
oh, just to give you an example, this is not off of it, but they go to see counselors or they go to see people. And one of the things you can be exempt from getting from having to learn the U.S. history or having to speak in English. And the way you get an exemption from that is you get a counselor, psychologist to say that you have a mental disorder that doesn't allow you to learn anymore. You've got dementia, you've got X, you've got something, right? You were in a car wreck 30 years ago and it's damaged your brain. Well, you can look at the record of that person when they come in and see that they've never had a car wreck, they've never had a medical issue with a damaged brain or any of that stuff. But all of a sudden, because they don't want to learn English or they can't, and they need that citizenship for Social Security, they 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 start saying, "Oh, I have this I have this trauma issue," and but the irony is, and the counselors will say they can't work, they can't drive a car anymore, they need someone to help them all the time, and they walk into your office with a driver's license, they drove to your office, and they have a job, but the counselor says that they can't do any of those things, and that happens
Oh my
every
gosh.
day. That happens every day. That's another side note. So that's
Right.
so I want to go back. So he comes here. Did you get a divorce from here yet, or are you still in the process of doing that?
Okay, so I did start the petition back December the 18th of 2024. So that right now is still pending. He already been served
Yeah.
through alternative substitute
Yeah.
because he doesn't technically live here.
Okay.
So he has been served, but
That's
I don't know if maybe he's ignoring it.
fine.
I don't know if he's ignoring it or he's just, I don't know. I just know he didn't respond to the serve.
Yeah.
So I do have court pretty soon, and we'll just see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, I do have your stuff. I'm going to try to write you something up and just give you something to take with you. I know it's real soon, so and I'll send you my resume. I told you I'd do that stuff for you. Um, how did this affect you emotionally?
Oh my gosh, emotionally,
Yeah.
I don't want to sound prejudiced, but I can't stand Nigerians. I'm talking about all of them.
Yeah.
That's how it affected me.
Yeah.
I don't trust neither one. I don't want to talk to anybody from foreign outside the country. Anybody that talks like them.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, it's just like a con country. I've learned a lot
Yeah.
from that culture, and I I'm not gonna sit here and say I blame myself, but I do blame myself because I seen the red flags and I didn't go with my first mind. And honestly, I can honestly say it is too good to be true. I would never again try to find someone online that's far from me.
Yeah.
Like if they're not driving distance
Mhm.
or, like, just somewhere close by, it's not true. It's not real. Like it's fake. Like I wouldn't even
Yeah.
I would recommend it. I'm talking this is for anybody. That's for anybody. Like I would never like that 90-day fiance stuff.
Oh, that's
I,
all it's there.
I
That's just hilarious. I love to watch that stuff. You can
yeah,
see
I
that most of those
can't.
marriages are just BS. And I mean, you've got this 57-year-old woman from North Carolina or Virginia going to Nigeria or Ghana and meeting this 21-year-old guy and thinking he's going to be in love with you. That just isn't going to happen.
Yeah,
You
and
just, He
It's
loves you, but he loves you for a green card. He doesn't love you for his.
exactly.
Uh, and but
Exactly.
but I want you to understand this, and I have to. I'd like to make these important points. I worked for the service, and I did a lot of fraud cases, and I still actually work part time doing. I don't train officers anymore, but I actually do role playing. I pretend like I'm a criminal. And they interview me, and because I have a lot of experiences that I know how to do it, I think I'm pretty good at. I've always been. Everybody said I was a very good interviewer. I really knew how to get information out of people, but I also know how to play the criminal. And the point I want to make about that is that when I worked for the service, you have officers that could see red flags, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 red flags, but they'd start out by dismissing each red flag individually. And so by the time they get to the 10th or 11th one, they've dismissed all of them, and they can't find fraud because they
Right.
didn't put them together in totality and say, this is a chain of events that clearly leads to deception. They can't do it because they're very incompetent. And they were always the worst officers. They did terrible jobs. I saw it all the time. And they were very nice people. I used to say that all the time. They were the nicest officers there, sweethearts of people, but they could never catch anyone being crooked. No matter how many times I trained them or taught them, they couldn't get it. They never could get it. Um, and so what I say is when I go and do my training with the people today, and I just play a role play, well, after I'll listen to the officers, these young officers, and the instructor will be asking them, well, what about X, Y, and Z? And you'll have the officers who go, well, yeah, but anyone could have done that. And he just points out everything that I did that was actually just bad. And you could sit there and watch them just dismiss each one of them individually.
Right.
And then they said, yeah, we let him go. You let him go, even though he's got a gun on him and he's got this big packet. He's got his shirt. I had cocaine, fake cocaine is one example, in a sweater wrapped around me, and I'm not letting that go. He has a report out that I'm a drug smuggler, you know, and so he knows that I've been caught before for drug smuggling. I'm on a boat. I'm being very suspicious, holding this package and not letting it go. Uh, and the guy, it's several things piled on top of that. The guy he dismissed every one of them. I'm like, I got like a
Oh wow.
cocaine on me. And you can't even ask. And he goes, yeah. And I thought the instructor should have been harder on him, but he was very nice to him. So
Right.
I say that as a caveat to look, everybody I have to emphasize this. Everybody can get caught up in this. No one is is free of getting, someone getting over on them. It happens to everybody, you know. That's why I don't judge politicians who get caught doing bad things. Because one of the things I often say, I mean, I don't judge them. I still think they should be held accountable and they should go through the courts and go to prison. But I can understand why they do it, because people are throwing stuff at them all day long. And so the
Right.
temptations just come constantly. They got to go to jail. I could be, I can understand why they did it, but I can also understand they got to go to jail. That's just the way it goes.
Right.
The two things you can. Um, so I just wanted to leave with that. So I know that I want people to know this is very devastating. This is emotional. I can imagine just the anger and the frustration, and then the anger and frustration that the service did nothing for you because it makes my blood boil. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm a little bit better, honestly. But when I first got that email saying for my scammer to go pick up that immigrant passport, I went nuts.
Yeah.
Like I what really like made my heart drop was seeing him with her.
Oh,
Like, are you serious right now? Like it right, honestly, I'm trying to do everything the right way so
yeah,
I won't go to jail myself. I'm talking me.
yeah. I understand.
Um, I'm trying to do things the right way, so I got it to where
Yeah.
that same day when they both pulled up on me at my daughter's school, I wanted to either put a protective order. I was unable to do a protective order because he did not threaten me or hit me in no kind of way, so that was impossible.
Yeah.
I wanted to put a restraining order, so enable for me to put a restraining order on them. Basically the police have to catch them on an act.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I couldn't even do that. I'm just like, okay, so they can secretly just find me anywhere, anytime, like any
Yeah.
day, and they can
Yeah.
do whatever they want to me because
Yeah.
I just been ignored.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to local authorities and I'm letting them know that this guy had gave me HPV and HSV. um I want to charge him for that.
Yeah.
So
Now,
then they want to sit here and tell me that's impossible because it didn't happen here. It happened in Nigeria. So that's something that Nigeria has to take care of.
yeah.
And then on top of that, I was like, okay, well, then I want to be able to charge him for fraud.
Yeah.
So they don't want to charge him for fraud because we're married and they considered our marriage like my money is his money and his money is my money,
Yeah.
which is I never seen any money, and they're considering my money as a gift.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just basically how I see it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna talk to you about some stuff offline because I don't want that to be published, but because
Right.
there's some things I try. So yeah, you're kind of stuck. I think we've run a little bit. I don't want it to keep this very longer. I think you gave me a good story, and I'm really sorry that this happened to you. But I want to talk to you about a couple of things. So I'm gonna end the recording, but we'll talk for a minute if you don't mind. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. We're going to cut it just short.